Hey everyone, so I'm going to talk about lighting data and putting that into Vertex colors. So normally you do light maps and you bake it to a separate texture, and then you have a separate set of UVs, and then those get combined in a shader. Here we're going to bake the lighting colors to Vertex colors. You don't need to set up an extra set of UVs. It will automatically be, the exporting is much easier to do, and you can edit your geometry without needing to rebake a whole separate light map, which is maybe the main appeal, is that you do not have to go through this, laborious process for any small singular change, and then you can always tweak the lighting a lot more easily. You have much more control over Vertex colors via painting as well as just overall tools. So we're going to use this model. This is a track, Bullet Bill Bluff, by Atmosphere, Chouch and Tosh and Mickey Man. And I was going to work on it earlier and then never got around to it, but I still have the model hanging around. Don't worry about the black textures. I just didn't feel like linking them up to a texture. But and I guess a warning before we start, the one thing that this method is prone to, the Wii does not handle Vertex colors data exceptionally well, so you will occasionally have flickering with your materials if your quadrilateral is too large. So if, say, in one frame your vehicle is looking over here, well then obviously it's not seeing this vertex down here. So if you have a really large, specifically like this, which don't mind the model. If you have really large faces, what can happen is that one will be in frame, one will be out of frame, and then you get some flickering. So the way you would resolve this is by adding more loop cuts. So that's the warning. So our material, how everything should be set up to do this. If we go to our shading tab, and I guess I'll go over here into the shading tab, we should have just a simple texture up to the base color. Make sure that your specularity is at a normal default value of 0.5. Otherwise, same thing with light maps. You won't get any bakes. When you go to the baking tab, you should have diffuse contribution not checked. And those are the main things to keep in mind for this. You can set your sample size low. Don't turn on denoise. And then the trick that we want to do is if you go over into this shading section, if you turn on flat texture, that's how you should be viewing your tracks generally. But you can also go to vertex or attribute, as it will be called in later versions. So you can see I already did some test bakes earlier. And then to edit vertex colors, we can go into object mode or edit mode, select everything that we want, go to vertex paint. If we click this, we will mask based on what we selected. So now we have all of the vertices selected. So now you can see I can paint on these, and I can shift K to automatically set all of them to that value, which is a really nice quick way of doing things. So we want all of our things to be a neutral gray, because ultimately this is going to get multiplied by the base texture, right? So if it's middle gray, that means essentially all of our color channels are being multiplied by 0.5, which means that we're dividing all of our texture's color by 2, and then we're going to multiply by 2 at the end, which will allow us to create not only darker vertex colors, but that way when we have anything that's closer to white, it will actually get multiplied up over the base. You know, it will. If you just had the multiplication without the scaling times 2, you would only get darker colors, if that makes sense. So we want our base color to be some sort of middle gray, and this can always be tweaked later after we've baked everything. So this is how we view our vertex colors, and then when we're ready, we just select the mesh that we want to bake from once we have all the lighting set up, and you can see that I have a sun coming in from over there and a light over here, and they are incredibly too high powered, but or maybe not. Maybe my computer just cannot. Yeah, my computer's dying. Okay, I will go back. I will go to bake. I'll make sure I have cycles enabled, and then I can bake. And I'm assuming it's quick because it had been done before, or maybe there's just not a lot of vertices, unsure. But yeah, now that we have the bake, we can see that's it. And then if we have this material, like, hey, it's some color right now. Well, the other trick. By default, it assumes that you're baking to an image if you just bake to vertex colors. And bake. So you do that with each of your materials. And then if you want to edit any colors, you can go in here and say you want like a shadow around this tree maybe. You can always create some sort of cut around here. Do. And then what you can do is you can, with these selected, go into vertex paint mode, and then just do some vertex painting, right? Have this mask selected, and then, oops, I guess it's right now darker or lighter. So I will, heck, what if I just select black? Yeah. And now you can see we can actually get a shadow around here. I can also increase the strength. There we go. So that's how we get that's how we bake. That's how we do vertex colors. I guess a few other things is if you're baking onto something that has some alpha, so right, like this texture, you can see it has alpha, it's see-through. You can also see in the material view right now it's black, and that's because we don't have our alpha connected to our alpha. Once we do that, then we can see, hey, now it's actually what we expect to see. But then when you're baking, if you try to bake vertex colors onto this, what will happen is this vertex, its underlying base is not actually in color, it's only in alpha, so the ending bake will just be pitch black. So you would need to disconnect that alpha in order for the bake to work without getting these leaves as just being baked to as black. You don't want to, if you want to preserve, sometimes you can, let's say you have a lot of intersections, so like this material intersects with this material, that material has some intersection over here, and if you want to keep the relative lighting, but you don't want to get really harsh shadows, what you can do is you can select you can select all of these and scale individual origins, or nope. Oh, I bet you, set origin to geometry, individual origins. Hello? Median point. Hello? Why is, hello? I would like to set origin to geometry, please. Ah, because there's something down here. Okay, well that makes sense. And then you'd have to like, you know, split this up, say L to select linked, right? P separate by selection, then you can origin to geometry, scale it in, and as long as you remember where things are so you can scale them back, but then when you bake, then you'd have less intersections with other meshes, which might be what you want. Anyhow, at the end of your bake, one thing that you might want to do, let me go back here just because I have more space. One thing you might want to do is smooth out vertex colors. So this would be going vertex paint, selecting all, and then you can smooth vertex colors. And that might be nice. One thing it doesn't do is it doesn't respect sharp and smooth if you set something as sharp or smooth. So that would be like if I say this crease, I really want to have it distinguished. What you might do is is it hello? Edge, and then I can mark sharp. And then when I now bake the lighting data, it should respect that a lot more. And let me mark sharp and bake to this again. And okay, we saw a small amount of change, but not a huge amount of change. What if I did this whole edge loop? We'll actually see. And then edge, mark sharp. Edge. What's the crease? No, that's not what I want. And you can also, if you're doing smooth shading, you can do normals and auto smooth, and that will also automatically create a lot of these creases. So then I can bake, and I should get more crisp results. There we are. And now you can really see a definite edge there. And yeah, if you need to, and I can show that again, if you smooth vertex colors, so vertex paint, if I paint smooth vertex colors, you can see it doesn't respect that shading that we had beforehand, but it might be something that you want to do. And I think that's most of the things that I have on. Generally, what you want to do is not have these be two separate meshes, but instead combine them into one when you're baking. I didn't do that here because this model has some interesting properties along with it, but that's fundamentally how you bake. So do not have diffuse. Make sure your target is vertex colors. Make sure in your shading tab that you don't have anything else, and make sure that your specular is up to a reasonable value. And that's how you get some vertex colors in your track.